Nick, welcome to the podcast. Good to have you today.
Brian, thanks for having me, man. Our circles overlap in a lot of areas, so I think we're going to be able to have a great conversation.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. That's one of the reasons I want to have you on. I've been following you on X for well before it was X even, so that goes back a few years now. And one of the things I'll just say up front that I love about you is you're willing to say I think a lot of the stuff people think, but are unwilling to actually type out. It's refreshing. So just one kudos to you for kind of being outspoken and kind of saying stuff that I think a lot of us are thinking or maybe believe,
Thanks,
but for
man.
some
Yeah, and
reason.
I kind of just stumbled across your stuff when we kind of connected to get this thing scheduled. But yeah, I love your work, and I also ordered my best friend Fred. I ordered it.
Oh,
I ordered it 2 days ago. It's
oh,
arriving today,
oh, wow.
so I'll see if the kids like it tonight.
Oh man, let me know. I'll have to send you Luke because I know your kids started playing golf right recently.
Yep,
Remember?
yep.
Yeah.
hmm
So my first one's called Luke's first round of golf, and I wrote it about my son, like when he was born, and about kind of him
Awesome, man.
playing
Well,
golf for the
don't
first
don't
time.
send it to me. I'll buy it. So I'm
Uh,
excited.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. But yeah, let me know. Let me know how it is. Um, okay, so speaking of books, let's talk about one of the reasons I want to have you on was your new book is out. So let's start here. I'm just kind of curious as a general, like why now? Why this book? And who is it really for? Like someone listening in, how are they going to know this is the book for them to go get?
Yeah, I started on Twitter 5 years ago. Started writing a newsletter. Started recording podcasts 2 years before that, and I have a ton of stuff out there. None of it is organized. None of it is structured. And I have a lot of stories also that I haven't told on Twitter because they're friends of mine. They're sensitive, or they've happened to me. Um, so I did the work finally to anonymize a lot of those stories, tell them in ways that my friends are comfortable with. And it's really designed to be a super punchy, to the point business book that you can pick up any chapter, any paragraph, and go back to it. It's not, it's not a long-winded book by any means. That's not my style.
Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, I'll just say, your team sent me over a copy there, the PDF version. And like, I was like, the first couple sentences, you read a book sometimes, you're like, what's this going to be like? I got 10 pages in really quickly of just because the stories was really good. Like, anyway, so just to give you, like I said, I read a ton of books. There's some good stuff in there. So,
Thank you. Yeah, I'm proud. I'm proud of it. Like, look, writing a book is really hard. I'm used to the world where I can tweet and I get instant feedback. I can tell if people like it or don't like it right then. Man, being in the deep, dark depths of a chapter of a book, hours and hours and hours into a journey, and you go through those, you question yourself and you're like, damn, nobody's going to want to read this. There's those anxiety evenings. And then other times I finish a chapter and I'm like, holy shit, I wish I had this when I was 20 years old. This is
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, that's good. Hope folks will pick it up and obviously use that wisdom in there for their own journey. And so I wanted to start. There's a couple big areas I wanted to get into, and it's one of these things like preparing for this stuff. I'm like, God, I can talk to you for 5 hours. Like we can go so deep here. Since we have a short time, let's hit a few of these. Um, I would love though for you to start and talk about the early idea back at Cornell junior year because I think the whole just get started journey, it always starts from like these interesting ideas, some randomness, the serendipity of it all. And you might not even be where you're at today if you went left instead of, let's say, go right. So, can you share a little bit about that entrepreneurial class and kind of how that first idea came about?
And my entire ethos is around this same thing. So you hit me right in the money. Too many people get obsessed with entrepreneurship and starting a business, and they follow the media's view of what an entrepreneur is, which is Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Shark Tank, TechCrunch, Silicon Valley, new idea, change the world, become a billionaire. Luckily, when I was 20 years old at Cornell, I didn't know about any of that. And I think it was a blessing. I saw an opportunity to make money, and nothing else was really on my mind. I could pick up a box, I could put it in my car, I could take it to my apartment, I could put it in my apartment, I could charge people more money than I could have made at a normal job. So that got me super excited about Storage Squad. We bought a $1,500 van on Craigslist. We got more serious about it. And you fast forward 5 years, and we're almost 300 part-time employees. We're in 12 states, 25 major colleges. It was a hard, hard, hard business. I had my nose to the grindstone, and I learned a ton. And ultimately I learned enough to know that that's not a great business to be in.
Well, you at least got your hands dirty, right? So
That can definitely be said.
why do you think it because of that looks like hard work is why a lot of people don't go into these boring businesses? They think that they see the glamour of building the cool app and they think that's going to be easy. Is that the reason, or is there
No,
somewhere else?
I don't think folks are lazy, and I don't think folks are afraid of hard work at all. I think folks get sucked into entrepreneurship culture. And like my book is an official call out of entrepreneurship culture. Like trying to start a, new idea, world-changing business when you're in college or when you have no network, no capital, no money, and
Mhm.
you're competing against OpenAI out in California, it's a fool's errand. And 99 out of 100, 999,999 out of 100,000 fail. So, like, do you want to do what you're passionate about? Do you want to do what's cool, or do you want to, go make some money? So, I have kind of a saying in that idea folks get status, like idea guys get status, but operators get paid.
Mm.
So you can go after the status or you can go after the money. I think it's pretty darn fun making money. I don't know about you.
Well, I mean, building something because to your point, building something, we have this glamour. And I think it's I'm 40, I'll be 42 next week, so it's kind of this growing up and seeing a lot of those businesses when tech was really booming, right? In this first 25 years of this century, to be able to see like there's other ways to make money and there's other ways to build things. It doesn't have to be again building the next Instagram. There's a
Who are
lot
the
of
wealthy people that we read about? They're one thing, but who are the wealthy people that we know in our town? If we shut our computer, if we go to the country clubs, we go to the nice restaurants, we go to the best neighborhoods in town, the ones who have the private jet sitting out here in Athens, like I know some of those people. None of them raised venture capital. None of them had a new idea. None of them did something crazy. They're real estate private equity, home service businesses that grew and scaled, maybe an engineering firm, maybe a lawn care landscaping company that's the biggest in town.
right.
Um, those are the stories that are way, way, way more common, but they don't get the press.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a mindset shift, right? Of it's okay to have that business. It's not, it's not a bad thing. You're not.
The most popular page on my website, and it has been for 5 years, is a list of business ideas that are boring and sweaty.
Yeah.
If you go to sweatystartup.com/ideas, you can see the list, and there's 200 plus of them that you can bootstrap almost all of them. Yeah, they require different levels of investment, but yeah, I think there's the new idea. We're going to change and we're going to flip a business model on its head. We're going to raise venture capital. We're going to take the moonshot, or we're going to be like water. You're a glass of water at the top of a mountain, pour it down the hill. It's going to find the path of least resistance to get to the bottom. Like my goal at the bottom was $30,000 a month of money. That's what I needed. I needed that to put my family in a safe car, send them to good schools, do what I want, go to a restaurant without worrying about the price, and I could live a great life. Like, what is the lowest odds thing I can do to get there and do that? And a lot of that is choosing your competition, picking what game you want to play. There's one part of my book that the editors wanted to take out. It's funny because it's a little bit politically incorrect, but it's true. Like in business, there's no style points. You don't get, extra points for. It's not an Olympic gymnastics routine or a David Goggins workout. You don't get extra points for doing something hard,
Yeah.
right? You get to choose your competition. Do you want to play against LeBron James in basketball, or do you want to play against a fifth grade girl in basketball? I'm picking the fifth grade girl every time.
Well, and you said something earlier about status, which I think is really important because we do have this idea. I think all of us at some point of like we want to look good, and want to look fancy, instead of like if you want to solve problems, you can do that a million different ways. And I think all the business owners, the entrepreneurs I know, they want to solve problems. And it doesn't always matter what that problem
Yeah,
is.
everybody thinks they need to follow their passion and do what they love. When in reality, if you're running any business that gets any kind of traction, you're doing the same things anyway. You're selling, you're solving problems, you're hiring, you're firing, you're having uncomfortable conversations all day long. That's what running a business is like. It doesn't matter if it's something that's really fun that you're interested in or if it's something that's, sweaty and dirty and boring. You're doing the same things. So you might as well do something where you can win because winning is fun. I'm passionate about winning.
Yeah, me too. What
Losing sucks. And on the other side of that, like doing something hard sucks. It's really it can break you, especially as a man. Like I don't know about you, but a lot of my identity is tied up in my career. It's if I was just losing over and over again and when unable to provide, that would break you, could break you.
Yeah. I think that's an innate thing for us because I went through, I think what most people do in like their late 20s, early 30s, just kind of like, what am I doing in life here? What's going, and I realized it was this whole protective thing of like needing to provide, needing to do something worthwhile, right? We talk about purpose, but like, what am I really doing? And for me, it was my son was like, how is he going to think about dad as he gets older? Like, is he going to be proud of dad? Like that really helped change me, the birth of
He's
my
like
son.
12. Your son's like 12 now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a 7-year-old boy and a 5-year-old boy, and yeah, it absolutely, like, I'm pro kids. I scream having a family at the top of my lungs to a lot of people nowadays who aren't listening, frankly, and don't have it as a priority. But as soon as my first son was born, like a switch went off in my head, and I got more productive. I got more mature. I got more disciplined, and I made because of those things. I started to make a lot more money.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like I said, it changed your perspective on life, and I think it's so valuable for people to look that and look inward and realize like what is the most important thing. Right?
Yep.
When you're thinking about a business, so in two different directions, do you encourage folks to build, or do you encourage folks to buy, or is there one better than another? Because I know that question comes up a lot in conversation.
So if my first question back is like, do you have operational chops? Do you have a network? And do you have cash? If you have none of those three things, you need to start a business. If you have cash, if you have money coming in, look, running a business without any cash is really, really hard. It's hard to hire people. It's hard to invest in marketing. It's hard to do anything if you don't have money. Um, do you have that? Do you have a network? Do you know who you could potentially hire? Do you know who you could potentially sell to? Do you know who could potentially invest in whether you're doing real estate or whatever? And then the last part is like, do you know what you're doing? Do you know how to lead? Do you know how to delegate? Do you know how to manage? If you have none of those three things and you start a company, a low risk company, like the ones from my list that I just said, or if you have that, if you have cash, if you have experience, if you have the operational chops, that you find yourself in a situation like I was in a year ago where I had an opportunity to buy a really big business and raise $20 million, and that's scary too. It never gets easier, but it's not possible for somebody in the early stages of entrepreneurship.
And so it's more like, I mean, the way I guess the analogy I'm thinking of is like playing a game. Like you don't start on level 10. Like you got to start on level one. Built like I know some of the businesses on there. Let's say you do like a landscaping business or something. Like go out and mow some lawns first, right? Go out and get a couple clients.
Yep.
Start building that, figuring out how it works,
Yeah,
and
if
then
you're
as you
20,
start
if
making,
you're 20 years old with no experience, no
yeah,
cash, and no network, and go clean something, move something, repair something, trade your time for money, then hire somebody else. And the whole time you're building skills and acquiring cash, you're acquiring a network and you're gaining skills. And then 5, 10 years later, you can find yourself in a situation to buy a company or make some larger investments. But your first business is about acquiring those three things you need to do business at a high level. Because it's really, really, really hard to do business at a high level if you don't need, if you don't have those things.
so what if we take the other side? So take someone like me, right? Early 40s, and I think a lot of people listen to this podcast, right? And they might be in a career, right? They might be thinking about, hey, can I do something else? But they financially they're in good position. They have a network, right? They understand from an operations side. They have some sales acumen, et cetera. My challenge, I guess, maybe this might be a little self-serving, but hey, we'll talk about it because I think it'll help others. Like, how do I find those opportunities out there to buy? Like, where do you go? How do you talk to people like that? That's one of those things because I've actually thought about, hey, is there some businesses I can go buy? But I
Mhm.
just don't know where the hell to go or what rocks to look under.
Yeah, it's funny that they kind of just come to you as you get out there and as you mix it up and as you sell to people and service people and make friends in the business world. Um, People can go out on Biz Buy Sell or go through a broker and find a company to buy, and they can be successful. The company I bought, I was intimately familiar with, and it was owned by somebody I had known for years. So
Okay.
these opportunities kind of pop up to you as the business is so much about momentum. Like at the top of the hill, you have no momentum, you have a very small snowball, but once it starts going, like things just happen at a new speed, at a new pace, for sure.
Are there things you look out for in a deal that are kind of red flags, or maybe on the other end of it, like guidelines they have to have for you to even entertain as a potential deal?
No, I'm an opportunist. I'll look at anything. I do, back to what I said about some businesses being hard and some businesses being easy,
Mhm.
there are better businesses and worse businesses. You know, I don't know if I'd start a restaurant, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, restaurants are challenging for sure. But are there like red flags you see? Because I imagine if you're like in a deal, there's got to be some things that come up where you're like, "Ooh, this looks a little bit, you know,
Yeah,
off-putting."
I've only bought one company, and it was a big one that I was intimately familiar with. So when it comes to, buying a service business off the street, I can kind of use common sense, but I've never done it. So yeah.
Is there a so when we think about the book, and I want to get into the sales side of things, I know that's important, but is there a part of the book like you're really proud of, like that's in there that not whether people like it or not? Again, you mentioned a couple
Yeah, I
areas
think
earlier.
I think the I think a really cool thing is that this book is not just for people who own a company. It's for people who have jobs. And not enough people put thought into um, what job, what career to go after. Like, so there's a section in this book called like "Look Down the Hall." Look down the hall. If I play this game that I'm about to start playing, and I do it really well and I win, what is my life going to look like when I'm 40? I have a really good friend. I tell this story in the book, and it's tough to tell. It's a brutal story. He was top of his class, went to Columbia Law School, got a job in California with the best judge, one of the hardest clerkships to get, got a damn near perfect score on his LSAT, got a job at one of the most prestigious litigation firms in the world, really, in Washington D.C. Works it for 4 years and is crushing it, making almost $1 million a year at 29 years old,
Oh,
on partner track. Well, he gets married. Him and his wife are pregnant. They're going to deliver a baby in October. In July, the partner says, "Hey, I need you to take this case. It's in New York City, and it's going to go through the fall. It's a big one. Like it's a really important one. It's one of our biggest clients. You're going to be in New York City." And he's like, "Hold on. Like, if I'm litigating in a courtroom in New York City and it's high stakes and my wife is in the third trimester, like I can't take this case. Like, you got to give me something either more flexible or here in town because my wife is going to have a baby this fall." And the partner basically says, "Hey, that's not how this works. Like, partners have been making this sacrifice for years. Like, yes, you've been working 80 hours a week, but there are 50 lawyers for every one of you who would kill for your job. And if you want to be a partner here, this is just what it takes." He threw a fit in the office, had a ton of words with his partner. I don't know if there were things thrown, but it was a bad situation. And he left his job making $1 million a year for one of the most prestigious litigation firms in America and went to work for a nonprofit, making 10%, 20% of the money.
is he happier?
I think the whole thing is a disaster. It's so sad. You win the game. He plays the game. He wins it. He is the top of the top of the best of the best
Yeah.
in the situation that everybody kills to get in, and realizes, holy shit, I'm standing across from a partner at this firm who's 50 years old, divorced, overweight, does not have a good relationship with their kids. Maybe they're an alcoholic, like, but they're rich as hell.
Yeah.
Is that the game I'm going to play? So not enough people who want to be doctors, lawyers, whatever, teachers, look at what it's like and think, hey, if I'm really good at this and I win this game, what's my life like?
Yeah.
A really important part of the book that I'm pretty proud of.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And well, what is winning?
Yeah, what
You
does
know?
winning look? And
Yeah.
another huge part is like, pick your number. Everybody thinks they need $1 billion to be happy, or that if their startup isn't a unicorn, then they're not winning in entrepreneurship. Like, there's 3 levels of wealth in this world. There's like being able to pay all your bills on time without the money running out. There's going to a restaurant and looking at the menu and ordering whatever you want without looking at the price on the right side of the menu. And then there's traveling anywhere you want and not worrying about what hotel you're staying at, or if you're going to get an Uber from the airport, or what, class upgrade you're going to get on the cruise, or whatever it might be. Beyond that, life is damn near identical for everybody. Okay, yes, there's private jets that you can fly to Europe, but that's not really what I'm talking about here. Like your day-to-day life, how does it change with a lot of money? Not much, man. So like, do you need 30 grand a month coming in? Do you need 20 grand a month coming in? Do you need $100,000 a month coming in to live the life you want? My number when I was 22 and I did this exercise was $20,000 a month. That was almost 15 years ago. That's 30 or 40K now. But like, I can live the exact life I want. So that's what winning looks like. Now let's work backwards from there, figure out what games we're going to play to get there.
Well, and I think also, and you touched on this a little bit, but like someone that's in a career now, and I don't care what career, let's say they just don't like it, or, it's like, oh, I'm getting the paycheck. It's that's where I find a lot of folks have challenges. And I'm curious your thoughts, how you would encourage them to go in another direction of like, yeah, but I have this skill over here, column A. How do I get to how do I get to the other end? Because leaving a job is scary.
Yeah.
How do you talk to folks kind of off that ledge?
I had a conversation recently with an entrepreneur a wantrepreneur, who had a great job as an attorney. And he's like, hey, I got a little bit of money in the bank. I want to start a side business and then, transition to a full-time, entrepreneur. And he goes, but I got church group on Tuesday night. I got kids ball practice at 3:00, 3 days a week. I like to play golf with my boys on Saturday morning. My family travels a lot. I go to church on Sunday mornings. Sunday after that is family day. I'm really into health and longevity, so I got to get my sleep. And I'm like, hold on. So, like, tell me again what you think you're going to do here. Like, that doesn't work. So if you're not willing to log 10, 20 hours a week on the side of your job, hustling and scrapping and trying to make a little bit of money, and the way to start is always trade your time for money. Trade your time for money. Find something you can make $50 to $100 an hour doing, or more if you're a specialist of some kind at work. And then as soon as you're doing 10, 20 hours a week, making $100 an hour, you're making $4,000 a month and you can afford to quit the job and you have a little bit of a head start. But quitting a job and doing nothing, or quitting a job cold turkey when you have no income coming in it's frankly just not feasible for people with kids and a family.
Yeah. Well, and you're actually right. I mean, that's kind of what I've done with the sales skills for founders thing, because and I give credit to one of my friends who's kind of like, Brian, this is your number one skill. Software sales, you do all that. Go ahead and try to build that into something. Because, I have this whole just get started. I've done the podcast for a lot of years, but it's kind of like, that's a pipe dream of thinking that's going to sustain me, right, for a long time. Like, okay, what's the other thing? And that's why I encourage a lot of folks, like, what's your skill right now you're getting paid for? Go out and leverage that on your own. And that could be your window potentially, right?
I meet with a ton of entrepreneurs in college because I'm here in Athens where UGA is, and I'm friends with the head of entrepreneurship at UGA. I go and meet with classes. I have them reach out and I get coffee with them or lunch with them. 95% listen to me intently. They take notes. They get all excited. And I just tell them to go out and try to make a little bit of money. Hey, forget all this shit. Forget it all. Forget studying about entrepreneurship. Forget reading about entrepreneurship. Forget thinking about entrepreneurship. Stop watching Shark Tank. Get off Product Hunt. Get off social media. Go make a little bit of money. Here's a list. Like, pick one of these things. Go trade your time for money. Come back to me when you made $500. Our next call is when you've made $500 cash. 1 in 20 get a second meeting. 1 in 20.
Yeah. It's just so funny to think about that. It's like, these ideas is great, but it's that action. Like, you have to execute and take action. That's the only way anything ever gets done. But a lot of folks just don't get that. I guess I look back. I didn't know that for a period of time too. I didn't realize that it was, why are things happening? Oh, because you finally took action.
There's a lot of bad news in my book for people who think it's going to be easy.
Well, that's good. Maybe they need that wake up call.
Like, business, making money, decision making, sales, handling stress, all of these very, very, very important minds. Like, there's a whole section of my book, like the necessary mindsets of an entrepreneur, like the things you need to know how to do. Almost all of them are muscles. And if you want to build muscle, you don't go and watch Arnold Schwarzenegger videos on YouTube and then build your workout plan and order all your supplements and think about working out and plan your workouts and sit back and analyze working out. You go to the damn gym and lift the weights.
Yeah.
Same with decision making. Same with hiring. Same with delegation. Same with dealing with uncomfortable situations. Same with sales. I was not a good salesperson at the beginning. I had a meeting with a mentor in Ithaca, New York, 2011, right after I started my company. And he changed my life. His name's Dan Cohen. We sit down to breakfast and he goes, Nick, do you like sales? Or he's like, first he's like, Nick, you're an entrepreneur now. Congratulations. You made your first bit of money. This is where the fun starts. Do you like sales? And I was like, I kind of had a feeling I should say yes, but I was like, no, I hate sales. I want to be the guy on the whiteboard. I want to be the operator. I want to be the decision maker. I want to be the visionary and the leader. And he's just kind of chuckling and laughing. He knows what's coming. And he goes, Nick, life is sales. Not only business, but life is sales. And life as an entrepreneur, you are selling everybody in your company. You're selling your vendors on selling to you. You're selling people to customers on buying from you. Everything you do is trying to convince other people to do what you need and want them to do and get them to want to do it. And that's sales. So if you don't like sales, go get a job right now.
You have to have sales. I mean, he's 100% correct. Like, I mean, I think that sales has such a bad rap. It's the old school, the Glengarry, Glenn Ross type, sales, and that just not.
Oh yeah, talk about the benefits, show them why it works, and then push for a hard close, right? Like,
yeah.
No, I don't do it that way. You don't do it that way.
Yeah.
But like a fundamental truth in this world is that every single person is selfish.
Yeah.
Every single person. I'm selfish. You're selfish. My wife is selfish. She married me because I can lead and she thinks her life will be better. My business partner partnered with me because he's going to pay me less money in distributions than value I add to the business.
Yeah.
Period. Luckily, we live in a world where there's abundance and, me and you can get together and both be really selfish, but have each other's backs and like build something amazing where we both really win. And that can happen all the way down to tiny relationships, but you got to understand that if you're going to sell anything.
Yeah. Well, I love your seven rules here. I want to hit on a couple of these. One of the big ones, which it was funny. I was on a coaching session this morning and I was talking about the Go Giver. Have you ever read The Go Giver by Bob Berg?
Yes, and I know it's been several years, but I know the concept, and it's just add as much value as you possibly can.
Yeah, number 5 here. Can you share? I love the story about it's given a little tell into the book, but this the wealth manager. I really love that story because
his name is. I don't think he would care. Actually, I texted him when I wrote that. I almost put his name in. His name's Jim Gambasini. He does business in the suburbs of Washington D.C. He started a big pizza chain and sold it. He's an operator. He's basically running a giant wealth management and stuff is consulting really. Like you're helping people deal with their money, their business, their assets, and helping them figure out ways to save money and prepare. I was just onto a little bit of money, done a refinance on one of my storage properties. And he calls me and he's like, all right, Nick, like you're here visiting. Our wives are best friends. He's like, come in my office. Let's talk. So me and my wife, we pack up, we come in the office. He's like, come prepared. Come with your balances in every account, your P&Ls, like let's talk through every company. And I go in his office and here's the CEO of a company with 50 employees buzzing around this office. And he comes in and spends an hour with me on this whiteboard. And he's outlining all the different things I should be thinking about and ways that I should be preparing to be a steward of capital, to pay as little taxes as I'm legally obligated to pay, to have protection in place if things go wrong. And he's like, oh, have you thought about key man risk over in this business? Have you thought about a cost segregation study to take advantage of depreciation over here? Have you thought about cycling treasuries in this account because you got 500K sitting here that's not earning you any interest, and just on and on and on and on, adding a ton of value. I'm taking notes. He's scribbling on this whiteboard, and we get done with this call, and he's like, all right, see you later. Like, I got another meeting. It's awesome. Like, I'll see you later. I'm like, where's the bill? Like, do you normally charge for this? And he goes, no, I never charge for this. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, how are you going to run a business? Like, okay, maybe I get that you're not going to charge me because I'm here visiting town and our wives are best friends and we drank 14 Coors Lights together last night. But like, why don't you charge? And he goes, Nick, there's a mindset that I have in sales and it has served me phenomenally well. I get into these interactions and I add as much value as humanly possible to that person that I'm in that meeting with. And he goes, Nick, you'd be surprised. He's like, I don't ask him for an invoice, but half of them make a deal to either bring me on as a tax advisor, or they send money my way, or they want to work with my firm right after the meeting. And the other half wait till they have a problem that they know I'm smart enough to help them solve, and then they come back and hire me.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, you could call it a strategy, but the reality is you're giving value, and and I think the biggest thing is you believe what you're selling, you know what you're selling, you know there's value there that you can help people. So you're not like, oh, please, can you help? Can you work with me? It's like, no, I got value. I got plenty of clients. I'm busy, but we'd love to work with you if you want, right?
Yeah, if our circles overlap, let's work together. But I think it's a underappreciated way to go about life.
Oh yeah, 100%. Are there any here? I mean,
Are there any that you disagree with, Brian?
No, I actually, I mean, can I read? I mean, I guess I can read them here, right?
For sure.
So realize not everyone wants to buy what you're selling. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Prove that you are an expert. Manage expectations. We just said add value first. Make scarcity. God, my eyes are bad. Make scarcity work for you. Let the other party sell themselves. Yep. No, I don't disagree with any of that.
Yeah.
Because
one of my favorite things to do in sales is, of course, I'm going to brag on myself with humility. Of course, I'm going to make them feel confident in what I can do. Of course, I'm going to talk about the upsides, but I'm also going to talk about the downsides. And I'm going to talk about why it's hard. And I'm going to talk about what could go wrong. And when you start to do that, they're like, wow, this is different. Like, this guy's worried about some of the things that I'm worried about as a customer. Wow, I get it. I understand. Like, I was running around to 100, 200 people a quarter trying to raise capital for my self-storage business, because real estate, while it's a phenomenal business, it's the most capital intensive business in the world. I started a real estate private equity company. We've raised $40 million from 300 people now. I've met all 300 of those people on video calls just like this. And I'm talking about why we're professionals and why the real estate business is amazing and why, self-storage is a great asset class and why we like this location and blah, 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 blah. But then I shift to this part of the sales pitch where I talk about the risk. I'm like, hey, like, Brian, I know you love, the idea of self-storage, but like, do you realize that if interest rates go up, if interest rates double, this was 2021, they actually did. The interest rates did double over the next 3 years. Like, we could be stuck in this asset with like underperforming cash flows for 10 years. How would you feel about that? And they're like, wow, I have never once been on a capital raising call when somebody level sets with me in that way. I'd be quiet, and two things happen. Number one, they start to sell themselves and talk to me about why they think that that's okay, or they either run off, like they're not right for me, or they start to say, okay, I get it. Like, I understand. That's how real estate is. You're good stewards of capital, blah, 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 blah. And they start to sell themselves on me, or they run away. And then the second half of this, the second part of it is that I go into this relationship with well-managed expectations. And if you sell in a way where you're not always chasing to cash, to physically cash the checks that you wrote during that sales call, then your life is so much easier, because any stress in any area of life is simply unmet expectations from anybody.
Yeah.
I'm stressed out about something because I told somebody I was going to do something and I'm not able to do it. So if you can enter a relationship from a sales perspective with rock solid expectations, just doing business is easier. Life is easier.
Well, and you also mentioned, it kind of goes back to number one, but like, everyone's not for you. So I'd rather get those out in the open up front. And if someone's like, not the fit, hey, no hard feelings.
One of my favorite sales books is Flip the Script by Oren Klaff. Have you read that?
What's that?
Flip the Script by Oren Klaff.
No, I haven't.
It's a great sales book. I recommend it. And his methodology is very similar to this, in that, hey, instead of me selling you, I'm going to build trust. I'm going to tell you why I am a good fit. And then I'm going to almost play a little bit hard to get and make you sell yourself on working with me, because our circles might not overlap. I'm going to qualify you. I'm going to ask good questions. I'm going to make sure your expectations are right. And if they're not, I don't need this. Like, this is not a client I want to sell. Now, this is very tricky. People are going to read my book and they'll be like, Nick, I do need every client. Like, I really need money. I don't have the ability to tell anybody no. And I've been there. But you just need to work slowly over time to get to a place of leverage in business where you don't need every customer. You don't need, every investor. You don't need every, person who frankly is going to add a little bit of stress to your life down the road.
Yeah, because the one thing to underscore there is just because they have money doesn't mean it's good money. Like I always encourage people. I'm like, look at if you have 10 clients and 6 aren't great clients, well, now you have probably a better chance they're going to churn. You're gonna have bad references out there. They're gonna be talking bad about you and saying, because if they didn't get the outcome, even if it was their fault, they're gonna say it was your fault, right? So I was like, I'd rather you have some better clients out there than these talking bad to you. Like
I'd
find the
rather
best
like
ones.
80% of your clients cause, or 20% of your clients cause 80% of your headache.
Yeah.
And also 20% of your clients generate 80% of your profit. The sooner you realize that those aren't the same two customers, the better you can make, the sooner you can make your life easier by firing those shitty customers that are 80% of your headache, but not 80% of your profit.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. The other word I wrote down here, I just want to make sure we chat about is transparency. That's really what you say, right? You're being transparent. You're not hiding things. Look, we have some skeletons in the closet. We're not perfect. Like that was one of the things that changed my sales career when I started to tell. Like I actually have literally said those words on a phone call. I'm like, listen, we're not perfect. We have skeletons in the closet. Our implementation used to be we had some issues here, but we've changed it and we've done this and that. And like, people appreciate that. Like, holy crap! Like he's actually telling me everything.
Yep.
Which in turn, a lot of people think like, oh, well, now they're not going to buy from me because of that. No, I think people buy from you because, oh, you're sharing the A to Z
Yep. You're
instead of
building.
just sharing the best.
That's the building, build trust section of my framework. It's prove that you're an expert and then build trust by talking about what can really go wrong so that they understand that you're worried about the things that you need to be worried about. Like people don't pay me the big bucks to manage their capital and invest it in self-storage for me to be optimistic and super excited all the time. They pay me the big bucks to make sure I don't lose buildings. Like let's be real.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. God, I'm like looking at the list. I want to talk about all these. Hit me on a note. I'm going to give you 2 topics. You tell me which one, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. Delayed gratification or leverage. Which one do you want to share a little thoughts on?
I can do the 1 minute version of each, and then I'll drop a couple strings, and you pull what you think your audience would be
Perfect.
most interested in. So,
Perfect.
leverage in life is being able to have no assholes in your life. You have ultimate leverage when there's not a single one individual who can act irrationally, make a decision, and mess up your life. Whether it be a boss, if you have a boss that could fire you, you don't have leverage because one person can change everything for you. If you have 3 customers that when they say jump, you have to say how high, you have no leverage. So your goal as an entrepreneur is to get enough income, to get enough things in the fire, to get enough cash in your bank where nobody can tell you, not a single one person can tell you to jump, and you have to say how high. Okay, delayed gratification is the story of wealth. People think wealth happens overnight. People think wealth happens quickly. Wealth is the story in my book about the family that comes in from New York City knowing 0 English in the 1910s. And they work labor jobs for 30 years to send their kid to a public high school in the Bronx. Those kids then work a little bit higher up in corporate America, in New York City, for 30 years to then have kids that can go to medical school. And those kids get out of medical school and have kids. And that kid is situated and ready to be an entrepreneur because he got the safety nets. So not only is wealth a generational game, but if you want it all right now and you're not willing to do hard things for 5 years, you need to give up. Like it's a marshmallow test. The marshmallow test is where you put the marshmallow on the table and you make a four-year-old kid sit there. And if they don't eat the marshmallow, they get 2.
Right.
Life is an adult marshmallow test, but unfortunately, 70% of humans in America are just trying to maximize enjoyment in this moment, and that's why they're broke. That's why they're overweight. That's why their relationships are a mess, and they can't function as humans. And unfortunately, a massive amount of people can't because they are trying to maximize their personal enjoyment today.
Yeah, I think you said that. I mean, I can't really say it much better. I mean, the one word that comes to mind that I talk about a lot is control, right? if you have control over your decision, well, I think it answers both of the leverage question too, right? Is like if you have control over the decisions and you're not only making them just short term, listen, we should all have fun,
Hmm.
but also how is this going to impact me down the road? Like,
Yep.
what is the potential? And we don't always know the answer,
Yep.
but if at least you're in that direction, I think you at least have a better opportunity, right?
Yeah, there's people who go around life like my dog goes around, life. They see something that they think could be happy or fun, and damn, everything out the door. I'm gonna sprint towards that, whether it be a car bumper
Right.
or whether it be the neighbor's dog who's a lot bigger with sharper teeth than them, or it's my kid, or it's a runner, or it's the mailman. They're just totally reactive, running towards whatever they think would be the most fun at the moment. There's a lot of humans who do that too.
Do that. All right, so let's get folks. Let's end on this note. How can someone take action today? What would be like the first step for them to get moving on that in that better direction?
Reset your expectations. You're not going to get rich in 5 years. Start doing work to improve the lives of your kids and grandkids.
Hmm.
It's not about you. So like the dedication at the beginning of the book is one of my favorite parts. Like this book is dedicated to all the people doing boring, not fun things to make their kids' lives and their kids' lives better. There's a hell of a lot of people out. Like my neighbor's getting their house remodeled right now, and I see a lot of laborers out there who are working hard freaking jobs to give their kids more opportunity than they had because they're first generation, maybe they're not even citizens of the United States, and they want a better life for the future of their, if you can have that mindset,
Yeah,
going out and scrubbing a sidewalk on the weekend to, get some extra money coming in and getting after it and doing not fun things for 5 years isn't so bad.
that's a hell of a different mindset. I hadn't really thought of it actually in that perspective, but I like it
Yep.
because it almost takes that selfishness away a little bit, and there's more. I mean, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is like unconditional love. It's like how do you give that to someone else that you really care about, especially kids? Well, I'm going to put in the hard work now for them to benefit down the road, so they have it easier.
And just have the energy. Like, unfortunately, you can't teach it. There's nothing I can say here that's going to give, an unexcitable, lazy person the energy to go after something. But I am where I am today because a ball rolled by and something clicked in my head to get up and go after that ball. I'm going back to the dog analogy because I
Yeah,
just got a
right.
dog this week.
Oh, a puppy?
A puppy, yeah, he's
Oh
right
my
here.
gosh.
He's right here. I would pick him up, but he's sleeping. Um, there's dogs with drive and there's dogs without drive. Like you throw a ball in the yard, and a retriever is going to freaking do anything it can to go get that ball. That's the way I felt about a couple $100 when my friends were sitting around being like, "What the hell is Nick doing? Like, I'm going to get a job at Goldman Sachs. I'm going to go to New York City.
Mhm.
The last thing I'm going to freaking do is move boxes around and buy a $1,500 cargo van on Craigslist." I'm glad that I had the energy to get excited about that opportunity. So if you can influence the way that you naturally, go after things, like just get excited about something that's not exciting for Steve Jobs or somebody 10 years down the road for you. Like go make a couple $100 on a weekend.
That's a great place to start. Again, if you can't do that, how are you going to make a couple 100,000?
But it's amazing how fast you can go from making a couple $100 to a couple 100,000.
That's true. Well, the answers are in your book, I'm sure. So, thanks again, Nick. This was a lot of fun. Where could I'm sure people I know can buy it on Amazon. I already have my pre-order on there, but
Yeah, well, you can go to just type Sweaty Startup in on Amazon. We'll put a link down below, Brian. But I mean, no, I really appreciate you having me on. I appreciate the support. And if anybody reads the book and they have a question, they have a follow up, you can email me, nick@sweatystartup.com. Me and my team read every single email. I do a podcast where I answer questions. If you send me a little note about you and your situation, I can maybe answer it on the show. But yeah, no, I really appreciate you giving me the mic and asking great questions, man. You're good at this.
yeah, I appreciate it, man. A lot of fun. Thank you so much.